Good day, dear students. Welcome to our program, Policing Life Orientation. This is going to be a subject content and as well as examination based for 2018 class conduct, meaning that we are going to look at the content, subject content, which includes your 3 examinations. There will be no specific examination based to say April examination or August or November. The whole subject content is being done once. Then when you prepare for your examination, this is what we look at. My name is Aina Simpson. I will be your tutor for this subject, life orientation. My contact number is 081-2457-456. You can also reach me on my email address, which is Aina Simpson, all in small letters, at gmail.com. Let us see what the subject content has for us. Welcome to the Pre-Qualification Certificates Policing Life Orientation module in particular. This is a module which is like the umbrella of all modules which are covered in the program or in the course, which is Pre-Qualification Policing Certificate. I am your tutor and I will be responsible for marking your assignments and examination of these subjects. I wish you all to be hardworking, dedicated, and self-driven students in this course, meaning that you need to take up your own study, make it your own, so that you pass at the end of the period. And we are looking, as I said earlier, that the subject content presented, it's going to assist you in preparing your 3 examinations, being it April, August, and November, whichever way you will be writing, or whichever time you will be writing your examination. Subject content overview. This module serves as a firm foundation of other modules, meaning we call it as an umbrella of all other modules. And what does the content has for us? It touches on stress, which is positive or negative experience of stress, as well as their causes. When we talk of stress, it could be positive, it could be negative, and also what causes that. It emphasizes on the understanding of time planning and management, its principles, methods, and techniques used in scheduling tasks and activities. The subject also look at important information on the team, its objectives, values, features of communication or characteristics of communication, factors affecting a team, and a team structure. How is the team being structured? Who are involved in the team? And lastly, or finally, it also touch on the generation theory and cultural diversity. What is expected of you to know as a student in this module? You are expected at least to understand how to manage your stress in personal life and also at work situations, in order to improve your quality of life. This is what is expected for you to understand. You should be able to manage your stress, being it positive or being it negative, and also to manage your personal life and then the situation at work, so that you improve the quality of your life. Make decisions and recommendations about effective time and management in a future venture. When we look at when and how to go about certain things, you need to be able to know how to make decisions, you need to be able to recommend, and also you need to look at how best can you manage your time. Describe a team and the communication process within the team. You should be able to describe what a team is and the communication process within the team. The exit learning continues. It described and apply best working team practices and handle conflict situations within the team. You should be able to describe and also test working team practices. And it also finally look at describe the generation theory and diversity between people and cultures. Let us look at the units included. Study Unit 1, it's about features or characteristics, factors and impact of stress. You are expected to know how to manage your stress in your personal life and work situations in order to improve your quality of life. We look at what is stress. And then after describing or defining what stress is, we look at it that stress has two ways. Stress can be positive, or two types can be positive, it can be negative. When it is positive, it encourages you to do more of the work. When it is negative, then you are discouraged, you are not happy of what you are doing. You try to find reasons as to why and ideas as to how best you can go about that. List and describe the positive effects of stress on the general performance of individuals. We are looking at the positive effects. What is it that can make a person, or what can bring a positive to effect a positive stress? What is that? So that at least the general performance of an individual has been improved. You need to know what you are doing. You need to like what you are working on. Name and describe factors that cause stress under human societies. That could be internal or it could be external. We are looking at what causes stress. Stress could be caused by internal factors from within ourselves, or it can be external factors, which are the outside factors. What is that? You look at closely that from internal, it is from within. You look at yourself. What is it that you think it bothers you, which causes you to be stressed? If you can't organize your time, if you can't manage your time, that is within you. So you need to sit down and look at it. How best can you change, or how best can you improve? And also from outside, this has to do with the factors around you, the environment, the people living with you or the people working with you. All that contributes for the external factors to appear. State and describe how 4 stresses affect human beings. The 4 stresses that can affect human beings are like changes in belief system, attitudes and values in society, health, legal systems, security, demographic of society, and work environment. These are the stresses that could affect human beings. Some people, they believe that whatever comes their way, they believe that, especially when changes has to come, then they don't know which one to follow and which one to leave out. In the attitude of people in our society, we also look at that. It can stress a person because people want things to be done their way, and in most cases it's not the case. And then we look at the health system. What type of health system we have? Do our people have access to health facilities or not? Legal system the same, security the same, and demographic of society and work environments. When we talk of demographic society, we are looking at the environment where people live. Are the people close to to services, or they are far from the services. And then the environment, the working environment, is it conducive, or it forces people at times to think of resigning, leaving the job? And then we move on to explain the effect of positive stress on the performance of an individual. You need to be able to explain those effects of stress. And then we are looking at Unit 2, aspects of time management. When we look at time management, why the scheduling of activities is important in the organization. The question is very clear. When activities are planned, why is it important to organize such times? Routine tasks are determined by the position in the organization, family ties, civic responsibility, and social obligations. There are reasons as to why they are being scheduled in the way they are being scheduled. Because if you have to do some activities with your family, then you can't be doing the activity at work at the same time. So you need to know what to do when you are home and what to do when you are planning activities at work. So as the social obligations, you also need to look at that. What are the types of interruptions that can be faced by supervisors at a workplace? There are quite a lot of things that that could cause interruptions. That is, now we can talk of telephones, we talk of visitors, uninvited visitors. The person just to pop in, instead of a person talk for 2 minutes, then the person will sit for 2 hours long. Meetings, acting incomplete information. When you get information and the information it is not complete, then you are left with no choice but then to move to and fro, which could be a waste of time. Outline the best way in managing the situations in order to reduce the effect on production time. When we are talking of managing the situation, if you are to produce, working on something, yet you need to produce, it's very important that we put things in order. We manage our time, we manage our situations, so that you don't get into a situation of a bottleneck where you really do not know what to do. But then if you manage your activities, it's very easy to reduce whatever confusion that might come, and also not to delay the work to be done on time. When you outline, for example, you are asked to outline, you are required to state and also give brief a short description of what was just mentioned. Let's say you mentioned something, and then you need to describe around that, so that you make the point a bit more clearer than what one could think of. Demonstrate how you would handle telephone interruptions in your capacity as a manager of an organization. There are some interruptions at work, and you need to handle them. Remember, you are given this position as a manager, so you have to deal with all this, including the telephone interruptions. So you could possibly tell or inform your secretary that calls, you should give time of calls that a person needs to call back, or the secretary can take a message, so that when you are free, you can follow up on those calls that you have missed. Or the person can give a message through to the secretary, then you get it from the secretary, unlike you have to drop a meeting and then go to talk on the phone and all that, which could be arranged for another time. And then we look at, there could be some emergencies also, fire drills, computer malfunction, visits to the stationary cupboard, long telephone conversation, unexpected visitors, and so on. These are some of the interruptions that one could expect at work, but yet you are required to work on them so that your work is done on time as it's planned. Then we are looking at Unit 3, the team concept and elements of team dynamic. Analyze and discuss the approach that can be used to bring about good teamwork at business organization. When we are looking at the approach, which way do you think you need to approach your work from? You need to be systematic, that you know what to do and when to do and what is it that you need to do so that your productive time is not at waste. Justify why supervisors would monitor employees at the workplace. Provide the reason as to why a supervisor should monitor employees. It's very important that you monitor your employees, because if you don't do that, not all of them will be doing the work as it is expected. There are some of them who would want to be pushed every now and then, and in the process the production time, it's no longer used as it's supposed to be. Diagnosis is very important when facilitating the team's development and productivity. What can a team manager observe in teams she works with? It's very important that we look at team development. How do we develop our teams? What is it that people need to know? What is it that people need to respect, and how they should behave? And also, if your workers or your employees are happy, then the production is going to be seen. The production will be 100 and other numbers percent correct. That is now it also boils back down to the manager to say, with this type of work you do, with how you engage yourself with your employees, it will be seen with the production, because the time it will be used effectively. Unlike you just look at them and you let it go. At the end of the day, it's still you to complain of the work not done on time. To avoid that, you better get engaged with your employees and you get to know what is that they need and what is it that they need to improve on. Analyze and discuss the approach that can be used to bring about good teamwork at a business organization. Again, for any business, for them to work together, you need to find an approach. You need to find a way. How best can you engage your employees so that the business organization move on? So this is very important, that you don't just leave it there. You can invite or plan your planned activities, like come together. It's like teamwork or team building, all this. So you plan it in such a way that you are not doing it at the workplace. Be out there, and then you leave the environment of work and talk about the environment of work when you are in a different setup. I think that would also assist for them to change and to improve in some areas. And as you are engaging with them, then you point out the positive and the negative, and how could one work on the negative part to improve in order for the production time to be used effectively. To discuss, you are expected to give a clear description of the approach to be used to bring about good teamwork at organization. It's very important that we know when we are to discuss, we need to be clear of what we are saying. We go deeper into explaining this part, so that they understand what is expected of them to do. And also, when you are looking at a teamwork or any other area that you need to discuss, then it's not just to mention, you need to mention and say more about that. You give the advantage and the disadvantage of that very point you just highlighted. Critical discuss ways of managing time at an organization. So, for example, you can talk about a to-do list, you can talk about a diary, you can talk about planners. So when you mention this, then you have to say more. What is a to-do list? What does has to do with the managing of time at an organization? List 4 reasons why it is important to break activities into smaller sections, packages, as well as tasks. It is very important that the activities are put in smaller groups so that the employees are able to work on them, unlike giving them one big project, and at the end of the day they might end up stuck. But if they are in smaller parts, then they will know what to start and what follows, and I cannot do step 3 if I haven't completed step 1. So that is basically it. And what is the purpose of task scheduling? It is to help to ensure that what must be done get scheduled, and to be sure that the scheduled activities have been carried out. It's very important that when there is a task scheduled, the task has to be completed, and the task should be completed on time. Not it's supposed to be on whatever day, and it's supposed to be at this time, and then you decide to work on it whenever you feel you have time. That should not be the case. Study Units 4, the theory and application on managing diversity. What do you understand about culture and diversity? Culture dictates what groups of people pay attention to, how the world is perceived, how the self is experienced, how life itself is organized. And then when we look at the individuals of a group shared patterns that enable them to see the same things is the same way, and this holds them together. It is very important that we understand this part of individuals of a group, how they share the patterns, or how they work on things so that they show or they do the work in the same way. And it's quite important that we look at the work as a whole, not as in isolation. What are the characteristics of generation theory? It allows that change is an integral part of the social structure. It also explains how it takes place by revealing the components of social change, illuminating the nature, and explaining their articulation in the process of social change. We are looking at how best can we engage with people so as their environment, and we look at what can be done in order to minimize the production process at an organization. Outline 3 approaches that can be used to manage diversity at an organization. We have 3 of them. They can be used in order to manage diversity at an organization. The golden rule approach, it treats others as you want to be treated. And the right, the wrongs approach, that's now approach number 2. This approach takes the form of affirmative action. We don't have enough of the previously disadvantaged people, such as blacks and women, when we are talking of affirmative action. You look at what is lacking within your organization, what is yet to be done. Then now that you have your employees, you look at, do I have enough women? Do I have enough people of this complexion, if one has to put it that way? Or what do I have? Upon that, then it can be changed so that at least the work, we are only looking at the production that it should be done, so that it at least it changes the time, also how it's the time managed, and also it keeps the employees happy. If you have unhappy employees, believe me or not, your work production will be rated as something that perhaps you never had before. Those were the activities and the units we have in our module. You are free to contact me on Mondays to Thursdays from 2:30 to 8 o'clock in the evening, Saturday and Sunday 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening. And it came to my attention that students, they don't normally phone, they don't normally follow up on anything, yet when it's time for assignment, answers given, how the questions are being approached, it's totally different. Now we do not know what the problem is, but of course there are a few who could have done that, yet they decide not to do it. And I wish you well. Good luck with your studies.